I know I've been gone for a while, but we've had a lot of big news going on for the new Absolute DC titles and a lot to break down and speculation. So we'll get right into that in a second because I am incredibly, and I mean incredibly excited for the future of Absolute DC. But before we get into things, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps and you guys enjoy what I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. Now let's get on with this video. So the biggest news we've gotten, this was from San Diego Comic-Con, is that we're getting our first event in the Absolute DC universe titled Absolute Evil, starting with Absolute Evil #1 in October. This is our first massive crossover event for seemingly all of the titles involved, with Absolute Martian Manhunter, Absolute Batman, Superman, Flash, Wonder Woman, and Green Lantern, as we're gonna have all these different titles culminating in October with Absolute Evil #1. And this is incredible because not only are we getting a crossover event, but it seems like all the major antagonists that are being built up through all of these books or organizations are coming together to take on our heroes. So this is interesting, and I want to see how this plays out, because from the different interactions from the different organizations that we've seen in this universe, some of them are in competition with each other or have some sort of animosity or rivalry with. So I'm curious to see how this is going to lead into them working together and what will lead to them working together. And there has been inklings of some having some involvements with other organizations and characters by brief mentions in other issues like in Green Lantern or even in Absolute Batman. But the interesting thing I want to talk about is that this isn't the first actual crossover of the Absolute universe. We're going to be getting in a crossover between Absolute Wonder Woman and Absolute Batman, starting with, I believe, Absolute Wonder Woman issue 15. Now this is probably going to be around the same time Absolute Evil is beginning to start up, and for all we know, this crossover issue will be the inciting incident for this massive crossover event. We don't have any real idea as to what is going to go on or what the actual events of this crossover will be, but I'm excited nonetheless. But I want to bring into attention the teaser cover image of Absolute Evil. With all the villains basically having their hands together to take on all the heroes, we have pictures of all 6 heroes from the 6 mainline books for Absolute DC. But after looking at it, you notice that there's a character in there that we haven't seen yet, and that's Hawkman. For some reason, Absolute Hawkman might be a key player in this event, or at least be introduced in this event. This would not be shown in the first initial image for this crossover and be together with all of our heroes if we weren't going to get this character introduced at some point. Now, he could be introduced in one of these other books, and that's why he's brought here into Absolute Evil. That could very well be the case, and who knows, maybe that could also be what's going on with the Batman Wonder Woman crossover that we've been teased with. So Absolute Evil is definitely going to be something that is going to hype everybody up, because this will basically be something as close to the Absolute Universe's version of the Legion of Doom. So I'm curious to see how everything's going to play out and what challenges our heroes are going to face going forward, and how they're gonna have to learn to work together, as all these characters, for the most part, have practically worked solo in terms of what's been going on in their mainline books, with massive revelations going on for each of them. But for all we know, we might end up getting an 8th character either in Absolute Evil or after Absolute Evil, because we were also teased with the first image of Absolute Green Arrow. And unlike the 6 books we have right now, Absolute Green Arrow is going to be a limited run of only 6 issues, which is interesting. I would have loved for an ongoing title for Absolute Green Arrow, but for all we know, this could end up just being something to see a different side of the Absolute DC universe, but could also be a backdoor to see the popularity of Absolute Green Arrow and see people will want more. That's my guess to it. Or for all we know, Absolute Green Arrow could be used as a way to kind of piggyback off of Absolute Evil and have him be one of the deciding factors in how it pans out, and could help lead into the creation of the Absolute Universe's version of the Justice League, or even give the idea of it for it to be formed in the future. But what makes me very interested in Absolute Green Arrow is that apparently, unlike every other hero we've had in this universe, it's been stated that Absolute Green Arrow is going to be the one with the least, if not no, real changes to their character and origins whatsoever. So he's basically just going to be relatively the same type of character that we've seen so far in the mainline comics, which is interesting because the main appeal of Absolute DC is that while our characters at their core can be the same, the differences in their origins and environments have changed how they're usually perceived, how they act, and even their supporting cast members and villains and rogues galleries in terms of the wider universe, and things being a lot more difficult, as a lot of times it's just something taken away from more or less all these characters for the most part. But Green Arrow doesn't have that key aspect of Absolute DC in his creation. So I'm curious to see what this could actually mean for his character. And for all we know, this could just be a sign that Darkseid doesn't really view the little guy that is Green Arrow, Oliver Queen, as a big threat, but could end up being one of the key unifying instances and showing the importance and tenacity of the little guy and not underestimating the little guy. But that could just be me speculating and projecting for all I know. I love Green Arrow. I'm curious to see where that's going to end up leading. But the final piece of important news I do want to give you guys about Absolute DC is the confirmation that it's not ending anytime soon. And this is actually pretty much straight from the mouth from Scott Snyder, who's currently writing Absolute Batman and probably one of the GOATs when it comes to basically not just comics, but mainly Batman stories, as he's penned a lot of great Batman stories, especially his run in New 52's Batman, especially with how he introduced the Court of Owls, and that whole storyline is one of the best in Batman history. He basically confirms that the goal of Absolute DC is for it to be not only a fresh jumping on point for new readers, but also to be more experimental than mainline comics, not tied down by the usual sense of canon, and gives more creative freedom in terms of creating characters and storylines and telling these stories with pre-established characters, making it something different. And that is exciting because with this confirmation that Absolute DC is going to be going on for a while, this shows that DC has confidence not just in Absolute DC, but the writers for the series, for it to be popular and for people to enjoy them, and it could end up making a profit for DC for all we know. Heck, Absolute Batman issue 1 was the highest selling issue of a comic book in 2024, and it only had about only 3 issues at the start of towards the end of 2024. So at the start of Absolute DC, there wasn't a lot of Absolute DC titles, but issue 1 of Absolute Batman was one of the best-selling issues of comics, period, for that year. So that was honestly insane. But not only that, apparently on Twitter, and I can't find it on his official Twitter account, but apparently he said he finished planning out 35 issues of Absolute Batman. Now, whether that means 35 in total, including the 11 that we have right now at the point of me recording this video, or 35 after the 11, meaning that there's gonna be well over 40 issues of Absolute Batman for his run of the book. Now, it could continue on with a new writer for all we know, but this could just be how things are going to go with Absolute DC. The writers will have long-spanning storylines that they have planned out and moments that they do want to write for these characters, and then new writers will jump in, just like how the mainline comics tend to do things with every book, like with regular Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman. That could be the case. Now, it could be different for every writer, obviously, but this also confirms that Scott Snyder seemingly is going to be writing at least 3 more years of Absolute Batman stories. So that's going to be exciting because I've been loving every issue of Absolute Batman. I'll probably make a video on the issues I haven't covered just yet. I want this little story arc to be finished before I make a video, just for a brief generalization. Probably won't be as long as that first Absolute Batman video, I promise. But even then, I'm excited because it shows that not just Scott Snyder, but every writer that we've seen on Absolute DC's books are having fun and enjoying what they're writing. And they know what they want to do with these characters, and with this sense of more creative freedom, we could see stuff that we might not be able to see in mainline comics. And it's not even to say that mainline DC isn't even good. I'm sure there's some mixed qualities, but I haven't heard a lot of complaints of mainline DC in comparison to Marvel over the years. Although Marvel is mainly Spider-Man complaints. From what I've heard for DC, it's just been Batman complaints, mainly with mainline Batman with the Hush 2 story arc, and from what I've seen from that, it is absolutely horrendous. So Absolute Batman has just been a nice breath of fresh air and something new and enjoyable for fans to really sink their teeth into. But yeah, the confirmation of not just the extra issues, but the fact that Absolute DC is going to be going on for a while longer gives fans a sense of relief and excitement, especially off the heels, and I probably have a video coming out right before this one, about Ultimate Marvel basically ending after their event Ultimate Endgame. Once there's like 24 issues for most of these comic books, and once that storyline is officially done. And that's something that fans, especially myself as well, are not happy about, because Ultimate Marvel has been absolutely amazing, just like Absolute DC, with the different storylines, how characters are portrayed, and how things are being built up. It's been a lot of fun to read, and it is a shame that that is ending. Or at least it could be ending 100%, or it could just be going on break and then be relaunched at some later point for all we know. I have a whole video probably coming out on that as well. It's probably out already. Link will be somewhere. But that's what makes Absolute DC even more exciting. The fact that there seems to be no end to it in sight so far, and if Scott Snyder is to be believed, there is another 2 to 3 years worth of comics for these characters to be explored and to be read. So that's just a hell of a lot of fun for all of us to really have looking forward to, and I am excited. I would love to talk about more Absolute DC with you guys and maybe make videos on them as well. I'm catching up on mainline DC and Marvel to make videos on those as well, and some other stuff. So I got a lot of stuff planned for this channel, so look forward, because we're gonna have a lot of fun here. But yeah, that's all I had to say about everything, all this new information about Absolute DC, first big event, the first crossover between two books, new Green Arrow comic, and the fact that Absolute DC doesn't seem to be gonna be ending anytime soon. It could be going on for the foreseeable future. But what do you guys think? Are you excited about everything that's going on with Absolute DC? Are you happy that it seems that we're gonna be getting stories for a little while longer? And how do you feel about DC Comics as a whole and the stuff going on in the mainline comics? And if there's something I should look forward to reading, let me know in the comments section down below. And if you haven't already, like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell for updates on future videos. Really helps, and it shows you guys enjoy what I make here on the channel and shows you want to see more. With all that said and done, hope you all have an awesome day.